Hi, friends. Host Eric here, host Talking with Fans People, and I have been begging Kim's indulgence here, doing a couple takes on this while she's waiting to use the television in the next room. I want to talk tonight about something very serious that I take seriously and that I want to approach from a serious perspective as a media maker, and in this instance, suddenly finding myself a bit of a journalist as well. It so happens that I am personal friends with somebody who is victim of what can only be called a criminal conspiracy to abuse power to destroy the lives of people within a small community in Kansas. The particular perpetrator that I want to highlight tonight is Max Barrett. He's the undersheriff of Pratt, Kansas, and he's, by any reasonable and objective calculus, is guilty of perjuring himself in order to justify attacks on Taylor, more or less because he wanted to make sure that his earlier malfeasance had backup. That's basically my guess is his motivation. I'm not saying I know what his motivation is. But what I do know is that he perjured himself. And I know this because on an affidavit, he made this spurious claim that he had pulled Taylor's trash. In other words, he'd gone to take it. Maybe or maybe not, it was in the street. Apparently, this individual is known to to steal people's trash before it reaches the curb. Until you put the trash out on the curb, it's still your property. He's been known to steal people's property, and then he's used his own the stolen property that's only reasonably used as evidence against him of the crime of theft to justify further transgressions upon the rights of the individuals in the community in which he lives. So, how do I know he perjured himself? Well, on this most recent affidavit, he said something kind of dumb. He got creative, I guess. And he claimed that he pulled from the trash of Taylor Briggs a pipe that Taylor had fashioned out of a pill bottle. And they know it was Taylor's pipe because it was fashioned out of a pill bottle that was his mother's pill bottle. So in other words, the apparent storyline here is that Taylor had pilfered some pills from mom's house and brought them back home and fashioned a pipe out of the pill bottle. And a couple of problems here. Taylor's mom's not on any prescription drugs and hasn't been for many years. Doesn't go to the doctor regularly. Problem two, even if she were, they would not be in glass pill bottles. Has anyone within the sound of my voice in the last 20 years ever received pills in a glass pill bottle? No. Now, as anybody in the world knows, you can't smoke meth from a plastic pipe. Except maybe the undersheriff doesn't know that. I know that because I used to be a meth addict. Fortunately, I wasn't in prison at any point during that, so I was able to still raise my child, quit doing meth, pursue a career, and otherwise live a good and helpful, productive life as a citizen of these United States and of the great state of California. They're attempting to prevent him from undergoing any such arc. They want to destroy his life. They're accusing him of criminally endangering a child whom he has not endangered in any capacity, let alone criminally. I've seen the man interact with the child enough to know that he is a fantastically caring and attentive father, that child was never neglected, was never exposed to anything that she ought not to have been exposed to, and was cared for with a deep love and decency that is, I'm sure, absent from Mr. Barrett's own family. Certainly it's absent from Mr. Barrett. One wonders why he's so desperate to pursue charges against this individual and destroy his life. After all, Mr. Briggs transgressed upon nobody. Now, no matter how law and order you are, no matter how much you approve of drug laws or think that if you can find some way to prove that someone is guilty of some crime and they deserve to have the book thrown at them, no matter how outrageous the methodology you use to attain that outcome, even if you think all of that, there is no denying that Max Barrett perjured himself on that affidavit. Now, that renders his credibility as an affidavit maker pretty poor, and pretty much all the other affidavits go out the window as well from a legal perspective, beyond which the first search warrant was never justified adequately. It was justified by specious nonsense that's not related to the thing you supposedly were searching for. For example, Nonsense this specious, Mr. Barrett. Why would you put this on a search warrant, since you apparently prepared the affidavits for all of these warrant applications? That you needed, with the help of the Kansas Fish and Game Department, information upon a crime that Taylor committed of harassing some geese or shooting some geese. Except the video that you used as evidence of that showed me allegedly doing those things, not him. You knew that, and you willfully omitted it in order to deceive the court. But there's more clear-cut perjury than that, sir. Now, I want everybody in the audience to think about the Baltimore case where the police were found, there's video of them planting drugs, and 60 some odd pending cases are being tossed at the window, and they're going to have to go back and let a bunch of people free. Why? Well, why should you believe any of the officers who colluded on that drug plant about anything they say about anybody? They're choosing to engage in crime against citizens because they want to create criminals or something. Of course, they're the criminals. The Baltimore police are, who planted those drugs. They ought not merely be fired, they ought to be imprisoned. After all, that's the consequence of their crime to others. So, Mr. Barrett, Max Barrett, Under Sheriff Barrett, you are guilty of significant damage to human lives, and you're also guilty of lying to the court. That's called perjury. Combine the two, and it's abuse of the color of law and makes you part of a larger criminal conspiracy when we evaluate all the various facts in this case. You're not getting away from the light. I'm bringing the light of day. It's called attention to your bad acts. Now, for the rest of the law enforcement community in Pratt, Kansas, I'm not sure to the extent to which you're colluding with him, he's driving this, or you're just sort of looking the other way. I suggest you walk away from this individual very quickly because he's going down. Now, my other problems with Tracy Beverlin, who apparently feels threatened. I am threatening everybody in that community who is dirty with the truth. It's the only weapon I use. The truth about your own bad behavior. If you feel threatened by the truth about your own bad behavior, Tracy Beverlin, then you should feel threatened by it, because I'm coming with the truth. I bear no weapons, no threats of violence. I'm a peace-loving man. I bear a good knowledge of my constitutional rights. I bear a good knowledge of normative realities, what's good and what's evil. I bear a good knowledge of how small-minded people can allow themselves to be misled and wrapped up in the plans of one sick and twisted and very sociopathic, as far as I can tell, Under Sheriff Barrett. I don't mean to be doing any psychological diagnosis on the guy, but he either gets off on the pain he causes, it's a personal vendetta, or he's just naturally a criminal, or I don't know. I don't know what makes somebody do that sort of thing, because I never would. What I do know is that when people engage in bad acts, they don't like it when other people point them out and call them to account for it. I'm doing that now, and I'm not even barely begun. I'm coming with the truth again. That's what I'm coming with. Be as threatened by the truth as your own bad behavior makes you feel. But don't blame it on me, and don't think that talking with famous people is advocating any sort of physical threat against anybody. I am a firm advocate against such sort of behaviors. I am a firm advocate in favor of discursive solutions. I scare you. You hate me. You should be scared, and the reason you hate me is because you're small-minded and wicked. So if you're not part of that group in Pratt, Kansas, if you're part of the authorities, back away from those who are part of that group. You don't want to be associated with them and their criminality, because I'm coming for them. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.